between
Yeah, yeah,
the
that is true.
where Alpa Prana and Mahapranas are come. It's very difficult in English language to understand or
And also, right
exactly.
here is difficult.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, that's okay. Just a correction. That's it.
Yeah. So whenever you are in doubt that whether it is correct, a pronunciation especially, you can refer any of the Indian language names, or now language name or that is written in Indian language, whether it is Kannada or Sanskrita or Hindi, Telugu, Tamil, whatever. So most of the Indian languages have this differentiation, clear differentiation, without any confusion about the Alpa Prana, Mahaprana, Swara, and such things. So refer those names, so it will be helpful and pronounce it as per the exact origin. Thank you, Ji. Thank you, Sampara. So let us move to the next presentation from Sachit. Sachit,
Yes, sir.
Sachit will present
Sir.
on Charaka.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, can you see my screen, sir?
Yeah, it's coming up. Yeah, you can see now.
Namaste to everyone. Today I will be presenting on Charaka. Introduction. Charaka was one of the principal contributors to Ayurveda, a system of medicine and lifestyle developed in ancient India. Yeah, it is even used now also, and it's considered very effective for a long term. He is known as an editor of the medical treatise entitled Charaka Samhita. He actually did not write Charaka Samhita himself, but it was written by another sage. He edited it and named the book by his own name. One of the foundational texts of classical Indian medicine and Ayurveda. According to Charaka's translations, health and disease are not predetermined, and life may be prolonged by human effort and attention to lifestyle. So our life, like how long we live, will depend on how we are leading our lifestyle and how what diet we're eating and how much we're exercising every day. As per Indian heritage and Ayurvedic system, prevention of all types of disease has a more prominent place than treatment because prevention is always better than cure, including restructuring of lifestyle to align with the course of nature and 6 reasons, which will guarantee complete wellness. Charaka seems to have been an early proponent of prevention is better than cure doctrine. The following statement is attributed to Charaka. A physician who fails to enter the body of a patient with the lamp of knowledge and understanding can never treat disease. He should first study all the factors, including environment, which influences a patient's disease, and then prescribe a treatment. It is more important to prevent the occurrence of a disease than to seek a cure. Charaka's Ayurveda. According to Charaka, a body functions because it contains 3 dosha or principles, namely Vata, which is movement of air in our body, transformation, which is Pitta, and lubricants and stability, which is Kapha. The doshas correspond to the Western classifications of humus, wind, bile, and phlegm. These doshas are produced when dhatus, which is blood, flesh, and marrow, act upon the food which we eat. For some quantity of food eaten, one body, however, produces doshas different from another body. This is why one body is different from another. So some people may get more kapha if eaten fruits, but some other people may get less. Charaka Samhita. Agnivesha, under the guidance of an ancient physician Atreya, composed an encyclopedic medical compendium in the 8th century BCE, the Agnivesha Samhita. The work received little attention. The Agnivesha Samhita was revised by Charaka and renamed the Charaka Samhita. In this form, it became very well known. The Charaka Samhita was itself later supplemented with an extra 17 chapters added by the author Dribbala with retaining its name. The Charaka Samhita is one of the 2 foundational texts of Ayurveda. The other being Sister Samhita. For 2 millennia, it remained a standard work on the subject and was translated into many foreign languages, including Arabic and Latin. Charaka Samhita on diet. Diet is an important chapter in the Charaka Samhita because, according to Charaka, prevention is better than cure. And having a proper diet and doing yoga helps to prevent diseases. The tastes are 6. They are sweet, sour, saline, pungent, bitter, and astringent. Properly used, they nourish the body. Improperly used, they verily lead to provocation of dosha. The dosha are three: Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. When they are in their normal state, they are beneficial to the body. When, however, they become disorganized, verily they afflict the body with diseases of diverse kinds. Dhanyavad.
Thank you, Sachin. That was a good information about Charaka. And one important statement which he mentioned was prevention is better than cure. So
Yes, sir. That is a very important doctrine in Ayurveda.
yes, very good. So if everyone follows that, so the no one will fall ill. So if don't no one falls ill, then there is no need of any cure. So that will be the healthiest community that will be existing. So hope everyone will utilize this one. Thank you. The next presentation is from Harish Krishna. He will present on
Yes, sir.
Bhaskaracharya.
1 second, sir.
Harish Krishna, you are on mute.
Yes, sir.
You were on mute. Yes, continue.
Sir, I've done the recording for this, sir.
Okay. So are you presenting anything else? Any other personality?
Yes, sir. I have Bharadwaja, sir. I had Bharadwaja and Bhaskaracharya 1 and 2.
Okay, fine, fine. So the present on Bharadwaj.
Okay, sir. Just give me 1 second.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Now can you see?
Yeah, it's coming. Yeah, I can see.
Bharadwaj. Maharshi Bharadwaj is an expert in aircraft design, Yantra, Saravasa, Anushatantra, Akasha Shastra. His Gurukul was near the confluence of the river Ganga and Yamuna. In Yantra Sarvashana, in the chapter of Theory of Viman means aeroplane or aeronautics. Detailed description of aircraft design was mentioned in a sequence. This book also gives the details of 25 rishis come scientists. Dhanyavad.
Okay. Very short, crisp presentation, Harish.
Yes, sir, I didn't get that much time to do it. My exams are starting now, so I had very little time.
Fine, fine, fine. So in that short time, you presented well. Thank you.
Okay, sir, but I'll start presenting.
Okay, fine, fine. So the next presentation is from Pranavi. Pranavi, on whom are you presenting? JC Bose or Veer Savarkar?
So can we present it in next class?
Fine, Pranavi. We'll move to Shreya. Shreya?
And yes, sir. The PPT which I made it got deleted, sir. So can I present the next class?
Fine, fine, Shreya. So the next presentation will move to Mrinal. Mrinal, are you ready with your presentation?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
So can you see my screen?
Yeah, it's coming up.
Swami Dayananda. By Mrina. Swami Dayananda's early life. Dayanand Saraswati was born on February 12, 1824 in Tankara, Gujarat as Mool Shankar to Karshanji, Lalji Tiwari and Yashoda Bai. Mool Shankar was attracted towards the spiritual realm when he was 14 years old. On being asked to get married following r- societal traditions, Mool Shankar ran away from home and wandered all over the country for the next 20 years, visiting temples, shrines, and holy places. He met with yogis living in the mountains or forests and asked them of his dilemmas, but nobody could provide him with the perfect answer. At last, he arrived at Mathura where he met Swami Virajananda. Mool Shankar became his disciple, and Swami Virajananda directed him to learn directly from the Vedas. He found all his questions regarding life, death, and afterlife answered during his study. Swami Virajananda entrusted Mool Shankar with the task of spreading Vedic knowledge throughout the society and rechristened him as Rishi Dayanand. Maharishi Dayanand was a believer in Hinduism just as the Vedas were outlined. Devoid of any corruption and embellishments, preventing the purity of faith was utmost important to him. He was strongly advocated to the concepts of dharma, which he believed to be free from any partiality as an embodiment of truthfulness. He advised his countrymen to direct the energy towards the betterment of mankind as a whole and not waste away in unnecessary rituals. He revoked the practice of idol worship and considered them a contamination introduced by priesthood for their own benefit. He was against other social evils like superstition and caste segregation. He advocated the concept of Swarajaya, meaning a country free of foreign influence, resplendent in the glory of fair and just participants. Arya Samaj. On 7th April 1875, Dayanand Saraswati formed the Arya Samaj. It was a Hindu reforms movement meaning society of the nobles. Krinvan to Vishwam Aryam was the motto of the Samaj, which means make this world whole, noble. The Suddhi movement was introduced by Maharishi Dayanand to bring back the individuals to Hinduism who were either voluntarily or involuntarily converted to other religions like Islam or Christianity. Suddhi or purifications was imparted to those who sought their way back to Hinduism, and the Samaj did an excellent work in penetrating the various strata of society and taking back the depressed classes into the folds of Hinduism. Vedic education. Maharishi Dayanand was fully convinced that the lack of knowledge was the main culprit behind the adulteration of Hinduism. He set up a number of gurukuls to teach his followers the knowledge of the Vedas and for them to spread the knowledge further. Inspired by his beliefs, teachings, and ideas, his disciples established the Dayanand Anglo-Vedic College Trust and Management Society after his death in 1883. The first DAV High School was established at Lahore on June 1st, 1886. Dhanyavad.
Thank you, Manal. So in
Dhanyavad.
this, yeah, he rightly pointed out on the Arya Samaj. So there was a misconception that was created by British that Arya and Dravida. So that doesn't exist. That ideology itself doesn't exist. So everyone is Arya. Arya means a noble person. So you would have watched Mahabharata, where you would have heard every man is being referred or called as Arya. Especially the wives call her husband as Arya. So that means it's only a respected person. There is no geographical divide or any, based on that area. Thank you, Nana. So we'll move to the next presentation by Shraddha. Shraddha is there. Okay. Shraddha is not there. Sanvi, we'll move to the Sanvi. Sanvi, are you ready with presentation?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. Mm. Sir, can you see the screen?
Yeah, you can see.
Namaste, I'm Sanvi and I'm going to present on Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa was one of the leading Hindu spiritual leaders and the best saint in 19th century. He was the worshipper of goddess Kali. He was born on February 18th, 1836 in a small village named as Kamarpukur near Kolkata in West Bengal. He was called as Gadadhar Chattopadhyay in his childhood. His parents were Khudiram Chattopadhyaya and Chandramani Devi. He was married to Sharadamani Devi. Tottapuri was his guru and Swami Vivekananda was his disciple. Some of his philosophies were Shakto, Advaita Vedanta, Universal Tolerance. He died on 16th August 1886 in Kasipur, Calcutta due to throat cancer. Some interesting facts about Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. He had experienced the first ecstasy while watching a flight of cranes that were moving against the black clouds. He had enjoyed learning Sanskrit and mathematics at school. He had taken the position of the priest after the retirement of his brother from Dakshineshwar. Ramakrishna was motivated by a wandering monk Tottapuri who initiated him in Advaita Vedanta. He had proclaimed his wife as the embodiment of the Divine Mother. Here is an inspiring story. Once, one of his disciples, a poor woman, wanted Guruji to advise her son not to eat too much of sweets. So Guruji just advised them to come after 2 weeks. So after 2 weeks, when that poor woman and her son came, uh, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa advised his son not to eat sweets and the bad effects of the sweets. The kid understood what he meant to say and stopped eating too much of sweets. When that kid went to play, the poor woman asked Ramakrishna Paramahamsa why did he ask to come after 2 weeks. That time Ramakrishna Paramahamsa said, only when we preach what we practice are our words full of sincerity and appeal to the listener, which means that we should be perfect before we judge. Some of his teachings, he always says, achieving God is not by salvation but through work. To be kind to human is to be kind to God, as God resides in everyone. Ramakrishna Mission. Swami Vivekananda had founded this mission to promote the teachings of his Guru. This mission had headquartered in Ramakrishna Ashram of Beluru. The goal of this mission was to help people in attaining salvation. Dhanyavad.
Thank you, Sangvi. A good one, especially the story about telling the child not to eat sweet. So, in that gap, Ramakrishna himself left that or reduced the intake of sweet and then he preached it to the kid. So, that's what everyone have to follow. So, what we expect from others, the same we have to follow. Thank you, Sanjay. Next, the presentation is from Jayapriya. She will present on Mahatma Gandhi.
Yes, sir. One second.
Yeah, go.
Hello, everyone. Today I'll be speaking about Mahatma Gandhi. Mohandas Karamchandra Gandhi was born on 2nd October uh, to 1969 to Karamchandra Gandhi and Putlibai in Porbandar, Gujarat. He was married to Kasturba on May 1883 at the age of 13. Mohandas Karamchandra Gandhi was an Indian lawyer, anti-colonial nationalist, and political atheist who employed non-violent resistance to lead the successful campaign for India's independence from the British rule and, in turn, inspired movements for the unit rights and freedom across the world. He studied in Britain and became a lawyer in Bharat. He once went to South Africa. In the days there was discrimination between white and non-white people. He was ill-treated by the British, who threw him out of the first-class compartment of the train. It was a very embarrassing moment. He stayed there for 21 years, and it was in South Africa that Gandhiji employed non-violent resistance in the campaign for civil rights. After returning Bharat, he assumed the leadership of the Indian National Congress in 1921. He led nationwide campaigns for easing poverty, expanding women's rights, building religious and ethnic amity, ending the untouchability, and above all, for achieving Swaraj or self-rule. Gandhiji created a new method to fight against the British by satyagraha, protesting injustice in a non-violent way. Very soon, many people started following him. People called him Bapu, the father, and Mahatma, the saint. British arrested Bapu and his followers and sent him to jail for many occasions, but it did not deter the Satyagrahas. Will to fight against the injustice in the non-violent resistance had a weekend that society to fight collectively, which also led to the successful campaign for India's independence from the British rule. Gandhiji adopted the Bharatiya lion cloth or short dhoti in the winter of shawl, both worn with yarn and spun on traditional Bharatiya spinning wheel, charaka. As a mark of identification with Bharat's rural poor, therefore, he lived modesty in self-sufficient tradition community, ate simple vegetarian food, and undertook long fasts as means of self-purification and political protest. For his contribute, he is recognized as the father of the nation. The Dundee March. The 24th day of the Dundee March, 2nd to April 5 in 1930, he started a tax resistance campaign against the British salt monopoly at Sabarmati near Ahmedabad. Some of Gandhiji's books, Satya Ka Prayog in 1927 and Hind Swaraj in 1909. The famous line of Gandhiji, live as you were in the to die tomorrow. Today, the power of Gandhiji's words still inspire us to change the world by changing ourselves. On August 8, 1942, exactly 79 years ago, the day Mahatma Gandhi told the crowd that every Indian consider himself to be a free man. He died on 30th January 1948 at the age of 78.
Thank you, Jaypriya. So the Gandhi was not just a person; he was an ideology, he was a thought. So there are many people who followed Gandhi's ideology and did great things. But there is one example or a bad example that recently he heard was his great granddaughter getting what do you say convicted in South Africa because of some cheating. So this is one classic example where the descendancy doesn't get the good things or the nobility. So it has to be practiced whether from wherever their birth takes place. So the person who comes from any descent by following the ideology, good ideology, can become a great person. But with a great birth, but doesn't follow a good ideology, then they will fall to any level. So let us all follow the good ideologies and good deeds in our life. Thank you, Jaypriya. Let us move on to the next presentation by Vedika. Vedika will present on Bhimrao Ambedkar.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 1 minute.
Okay.
Sir, can you see my screen?
Yeah, Vedika, I can see.
Yes, sir. Namaste. I'm Vedika, and I'm going to present on Bhimrao Ambedkar. Uh, Let me start with a quote of his. If I find the Constitution being misused, I shall be the first one to burn it. Introduction. He was born on 14th April 1891 in Bhau, in Madhya Pradesh, to Ramji Sakpal and Bhimaji Sakpal. During his school days, he had faced a lot of discrimination due to his caste. He was a Dalit. But then he was a very intellectual student. So once a Brahmin headmaster noticed his intellect and gave him his surname, which is Ambedkar, and even the Baroda's Maharaja Gaikwad offered him a lot of scholarships, as he was a very prolific student. He also earned a lot of doctorates in economics through from the Columbia University in London, and he was also fond for his he was a scholar. He was a great scholar in for his research in law and economics and political science. As he was in London, he returned to Bharat and and he was appointed as a military secretary to Gaikwad. But then he quitted soon because he was discriminated by the higher officials. He also took tuition classes and he was also a professor in Mumbai. He soon left these professions too. Later, he started doing the publication of Mook Nayak, which means the silent leader, and he made this as his legal profession. Later, he joined many campaigns to and also founded the Independent Labour Party. He also fought for independence and advocated political rights, and also fought for social freedom for Dalits. As he became the member of the constituent of the drafting committee, he also became the first minister of law and justice. He was also later known as the chief architect of the constitution. His vision was to view a nation first and with no division of caste and religion. He had great nationalism, as he quoted in one of his speeches that the country must be placed before the community. He also stood like a rock to defend India's integrity, and because of this, he was fondly called as Baba Sahib. His hatred towards foreigners, it was mainly because of the foreign policies, which were mainly concentrated on peace, coexistence, and opposition to SEATO, which is nothing but Southeast Asian Treaty Organization. As Nehru was the foreign affairs minister during that time, he was against him with the acceptance of the foreign policies. He felt that the foreign policies' main key was to just solve other countries' problems rather than one's own countries. Coming to the Pakistan partition, he wrote a book called the Pakistan or the Partition of India, and also gave a resignation speech on October 10th, 1951. He always visualized Pakistan as the arrival of terrorist activities. His later life, he opined that Sanskrit must be the Rashtrabhasha of India, and also later converted to Buddhism. After he died, he was posthumously awarded the Bharat Ratna, the highest civilian award. I would like to end saying one of his quotes that life should be great, not long. Dhanyavad.
Thank you, Vedika. That was a good presentation, good slides, and especially the design of book, which suits because of his learnedness. So, if we see the number of the degrees or done by Ambedkar, it is huge. I mean, reading itself, the count itself goes more than a page. Maybe I think 25 different categories of degrees are done. So it is one of the most learned person we can say. Okay. So with that, we come to an end of presentation for today. Raghavendra ji, you want to add anything in all today's presentations?
1 minute. I'll just connect the headphone.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, namaskar. Not much to add, but I think each one of you did an excellent job. I mean, the research what you have done and very nicely presented. And make sure you use this opportunity every time wherever you people get this opportunity, whether it's in your school or in your college or in Kishore Bharati or within your this thing that you make sure you present yourself. That will help you to get nice visibility, and you'll also be able to get that self confidence of presentation. So overall, I think it was a good presentation. And then I think, as it said, Ano Bhadra Krutavo Yantu Vishwataha. In Upanishad, it says, whatever good things you get from everywhere, adapt it. So let's adapt these good things, whatever you have shown here, to ourselves. That is very important. So take care of it. That's it, Praneshji.
Dhanyavad ji for those inputs. So, anyone have any questions? Because the next week is the last week before the exams. So after that, 2 weeks after that is 11th July, we'll have exam on this great personalities. We have covered almost all the personalities. Only few are left. That we will cover in next week. And some of them are only recorded ones that we will upload it in YouTube and send you the link. so that you can revise them whenever you like. Not only for the exam sake, even after the exams also, whenever you hear some of these great personalities of Bharat, and you want to know the details, you can anytime come back to the YouTube and listen to it or watch it. So any queries regarding the exams? So in the 2 weeks we have time. Okay. So if no queries, let us conclude today's session early. We have 9 minutes left. Generally, we cross over the time. So today we have a little more time. If no queries, we'll conclude with the Shanti Mantra. Today, Shanti Mantra will be told by Vedika. Vedika.
Yes, sir.
After the Shanti Mantra, you can start disconnecting.
ॐ सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामया सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
धन्यवाद.
धन्यवाद.